to my newest audience. Of course, I assume you have a deep curiosity concerning solvable problems. So let's begin here at Self-Synergetic Mind, May 20, 2024. Who, what, where, when, why? Is it self-synergetic mind who consciously coordinates its own anticipatory design science reality projections relatively to potential realizations of UIVMOFCH, Universe, Isotropic, Vector, Matrix, Operational Field, Cosmic Hierarchy? It can be, as the most cogent conceptualities are focused on forming a more perfect union. Forming a more perfect union, at minimum, requires awareness of the tetrahedron's indestructible phenomenon that is conceptualized by metaphysical intellect, independent of size. Naturally, metaphysical intellect is a function of universe, eternal, omniscient mind's omnirational consciousness evolution. Logically, humans are not functions of the inherited perpetual detrimental, potentially self-serving corruptions of the PRJWBSHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief, systems, hierarchical matrix. Presently, in variously innovative computerized technological communications environment, self-synergetic mind is informed of the PRJWBSHM. Its intensely competitive determination is predominantly to reposition the R factor at every opportunistic opening. This is happening as the blind-sided P and J factions as factors continue self-righteous deceptions. The self-deceptions omit self-synergetic mind by default slave mentality conditioning. Slave mentality is adherent to a mastermind. The mastermind slave mentality conditioning continues to establish many footholds on planet Earth throughout histories of TUCP, the Universal Communications Process. This occurs where the power of the press loses sight of which face to publish, when its ratings decline, regardless how it strategically contributes to politically contrived game plans. Apparently, the self-deception has not kept pace with the R factor's insatiable determination that realized its power must include the P and J and W factors. This is especially so where Allah targets every god in the PRJWBSHM as its mortal enemy. Self-synergetic mind consciously recognizes the inherent futilities and frustrations of the millenniums-old, predominantly asymmetric, aberrant, induced, deluding, self-defeating, multifaceted deceits. The PRJWBSHM does not intend to form a more perfect union. The concept of forming a more perfect union requires awareness that unity is plural and at minimum two. The two-ness conceptioning, at minimum, is as two spheres come together, which is as thought begins, as awareness. Four equiradius spheres are essentially of omnirational universe's coordinate symmetry. It is a self-synergetic mind, familiarizes its metaphysical intellect with astutely described third power tetrahedral conceptioning. As we can read more about the never-changing integrated constants of tetrahedral fourness, correlating to vector equilibrium and the common nucleus, is in Synergetics 441.10 coordinate symmetry, as our individual economic initiatives are no longer benefited by any of the PRJW obsolete deceptions, especially since the power that always goes with the line of supply is integrally transformed into 6 edges that naturally validate the vector equilibrium in a zero-size tetrahedron. After all, it is the indestructible phenomenon that self-synergetic mind's metaphysical, conceptual, and reasoning evolving awareness has always anticipated from the all-knowing mind's TLBSWME, truth, love, beauty, symmetry, wisdom, maximum economy. Yom, Universe Eternal Omniscient Mind, seems to be redirecting self-synergetic mind now as our purposeful individual economic initiative is omnirationally focused on forming a more perfect union. We can learn more about this in Synergetics 441.20, turbining. Oddly enough, when I looked into Webster's Collegiate Dictionary 11th edition for the word turbining, which I have avoided because it seemed too difficult at a glance for my supposedly inadequate mind, assuming the word belongs to others to use to figure out, I was amazed how the very thought of it must also have been on all those people's minds who wear turbans. Anyway, turbining is defined as a rotary engine that is actuated by reaction or impulse, or both, of a current as fluid, as water, steam, or air, that is subject to pressure. Usually this is made with a series of curved vanes, V-A-N-E-S, on a central rotating spindle. The irony is the headgear and headdress of Eastern Mediterranean and Southern Asia that is worn to signify a belief system, to the extremes of punishing non-wearers as by Muslims and as class distinctive by Sikhs and Hindus. Who would have thought that turbining tetrahedron lines as vector edges around could possibly correlate with a conceptuality that goes from a positive to a negative when it passes through a point? Who would have thought to make any sense of history's absences of forethought of the most relevant generalized conception and could have anything to do with any degree of suppression that is promoted under the guise of the R factor? As it turns out, such deceptions permit tyrant slave masters to impose their religion laws on women who are compelled by those laws to wear a hijab, and as men wear the hijab, without one iota of correlation to turbining. But that is the beauty of metaphysical generalized conceptioning fields of thought that induce clarifying inspirations to refer to generalized laws specifically because doing so induces metaphysical generalized conceptioning and the conceptuality of energy, events, and principle, which can coincide with awareness of the UIVMOFCH. Until next post, keep tuning in and reading Synergetics. It is available online as our coexisting humanities, cosmic to local, relevance persists in forming a more perfect union as this potential realization becomes clearer by the day. Thank you.